exhibiting indigeneity, tattoos, piercings, scarring, and modified bodies. Bodily modifications are a feature of many Indigenous cultures across the globe. Notable examples of this include Aboriginal Australians, Melanesian as well as Papua New Guinean groups, and particularly the Maori of New Zealand, or Aotearoa. Tā moko is a uniquely Maori expression of cultural heritage and identity in the modern world, providing Maori New Zealanders with a physical way to display their ancestry despite colonial repression. The complex designs of tā moko were carved into the skin with broad-toothed tools dipped in dark pigment, and was widespread prior to European settlement. These designs symbolised a number of things, from nobility to leadership within communities. The revival of interest in traditional tatau and moko tools and designs. Traditionally, tā moko has been a sacred practice of great personal significance to Maori peoples, at times even requiring the permission of community elders or family members in order to proceed with the practice. Many have pointed to the idea that the renaissance of tā moko can be seen as a way of healing from years of colonial rule and the destruction of culture. However, there has also been a noteworthy increase in non-Maori people engaging with the practice. This is referred to as kiritui, and focuses more on the art of tatau and less on the sacred nature and spirituality associated with tā moko. This often manifests as a change in designs and placement on the body, as to avoid offence or cultural appropriation. The re-emergence of tā moko shows an amazing reclamation of culture that is very encouraging. The following clip from New Zealand news station One News, featuring Maori woman Hania Douglas, explains its significance.
This is the revival of an art that was nearly lost.
The weight of what's taken place is evident.
I opened the door for my family and now they can do it, and it's not going to be this strange, abstract idea anymore.
Hani is one of 21 people imprinting their story into their skin in a special wānanga this weekend.
The line between contemporary and traditional forms of tā moko are becoming blurred, and some artists are beginning to raise concern that the practices are becoming problematic. It is unsurprising that given the uptake of tatau amongst non-Maori people, concern has been raised as to whether their engagement in the practice is inherently problematic. Whilst modern tatau designs that are generally visually separate to traditional designs are generally acceptable, many people are having increasingly similar designs to Maori tā moko, such as the moko chin tattoo. Take the 2018 news story regarding white New Zealand woman Sally Anderson, and criticism made by Maori academic Dr. Mira Lee Panera from the Daily Mail Australia and One News.
What do you think about this controversy? Do you think that Sally Anderson is right and that she should be able to wear a moko on her face?
I think for us as wahine Māori, the issue isn't about Sally or her artists. The issue is about our responsibility for kaitiakitanga, our responsibility to look after, to maintain the integrity of this gift that we have from our ancestors, this taonga, which is quite sacred. So that's what it's about for us.
So what is the integrity that you've got to maintain? What does a moko mean?
It's the integrity of our whakapapa. So it's about nothing more, nothing less than who you're born from and who you're born to be and who will be born from you. So what's represented in our moko kaiwai and in any facial moko is about our tribal designs. It's about who we were born to be.
So do you think this is cultural appropriation from...
From what I've seen, and I've only looked in the last couple of days, it does appear that that moko kaiwai in this instance is being used as business branding. And I do think there's a level of cultural appropriation, and I do think there's a level of white privilege that's being displayed here, and I think we need to be really cautious about that.
Some Maori and Pacifica peoples question whether or not they are worthy of tatau or tā moko. Feelings of unworthiness or trepidation when it comes to receiving traditional tatau as a Maori person may stem from a number of different sources. Some may express concern given the immense history associated with tatau, and are therefore careful not to find themselves misrepresenting something so integral to their cultural heritage. Further, a lack of family members with tatau, due to anti-Indigenous colonial attitudes and policies preventing them from receiving it, may make some uncomfortable. Even Western-orientated notions that someone's skin colour somehow determines the legitimacy of their Indigenous heritage may play a role. Someone of genuine Maori heritage would not want to be accused of being racist or insensitive for simply expressing their culture through something like taumoko. There remains stigma associated with te tau. Since colonial settlement of New Zealand, there have been generation after generation of Maori peoples who lived in a country where taumoko was outlawed and eventually became associated with Maori gangs and crime. This led to discrimination and stigma throughout society, making it difficult for Maori, particularly with facial te tau, to find employment. Although these attitudes have begun to shift, as modern New Zealand grows more educated on Maori people, history and culture, many of these racist attitudes are still deeply embedded in daily life in New Zealand. A mere 3 years ago, in the summer of 2021, Maori woman Orini Kaipara became the first woman to display Maori tatau as a news anchor on New Zealand television.
A recent spate of drownings across the country.
A New Zealand woman made history on Christmas Day, becoming the first person with a Maori face tattoo to anchor a primetime newscast.
A remarkable act of generosity.
Orini Kaipara has been a journalist for almost 20 years, focusing on issues of the country's indigenous Maori people. In 2019, she chose to get a moko kawai, a traditional face tattoo for Maori women. That's when she became the first person with such a tattoo to anchor a mainstream television program.
New technologies have changed the way tatau is performed and how it looks. Through the introduction of modern tattoo technologies and methods, traditional tatau has been modified in a number of ways to make its application more streamlined. Needles that puncture less deep into the skin, and different designs as discussed previously, generally applied to those with non-Maori heritage, have all contributed to the modernisation of how the practice is performed and how it appears. Tattoo as Medicine, Tyler Vayau. Tyler Vayau is among few female tattoo practitioners. When she refers to tattoo as medicine, her point relates to the history of colonial repression discussed prior. She suggests that the revival of these art forms across New Zealand and other Pacific countries brings joy and renewal, healing the souls of Indigenous peoples who have faced oppression and discrimination through the banning of these practices.
Tattooing, a practice in the Pacific that only decades ago seemed very male-dominated, has taken a turn. More and more Pacific women are looking to the art form as an expression of culture.
It's sort of like a visual statement of pride of where I'm from and something that connects you to a distant homeland. You know, we may not be raised in the islands, but we still feel like a cultural and spiritual connection.
Tattoo artist Tyler of Samoan heritage works at Karanga Inc., a female-owned and operated tattoo studio in Auckland. She's finding a growing number of Polynesian women are seeking contemporary tatau.
The dangers of growing global interest in Maori and Pacific tattoos in the West. Prior points in this video essay have touched the surface of the issues regarding the growing Western interest in the traditional tatau of the Maori people and other Pacific peoples. However, while there is some resistance amongst tatau artists when it comes to practicing their art on non-Indigenous people, there remains a significant number of people getting traditional tatau. Even some non-Maori tattoo artists have been criticised for tattooing their clients in a disrespectfully similar manner to the traditional artist designs. Another danger that can be seen here is that this idea of a renewal of cultural tradition as a mark of triumph against the oppression of history may be lost as the popularity of tatau grows, for purely aesthetic reasons without any understanding of its cultural vitality.